Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 PS3 review. I've been meaning to review this one for a while, seeing as I've now actually got a PS4, so no idea if anyone gives a hell about PS3 vids, but I still find myself going back to the PS3 because I've got such a massive library of games that I've not yet had the chance to either finish or even play in some cases. Today though, it's Dragon's Crown, which we waited a hell of a long time to get this game in the UK, and I believe in all of Europe as well. There was just delay after delay, and eventually all we got for that delay was a free art book. And while the art book's okay, I'd have much rather have just had the game a hell of a lot sooner. It's one of them. It hasn't been worth the wait either, if I'm honest. It's a good game that I enjoy, but it's certainly got some problems to it. So at the start, as you can see, the start game, you can upload and download your save data. That's for if you're playing between PS Vita and PS3, because it's got cross save. I think they've eventually added as an update cross player, but I'm not sure because I don't have the Vita version. I actually wanted it on the Vita, and then my brother said, well, he'd play it with us, and now I'm really wishing I'd got it on the Vita because we've barely played the game on the PS3 together. It's just one of those things, whenever we've had time together we've played something else, it seems, rather than this. So I'd have been better off just getting it on the Vita in the first place. Options, you've got a few things you can do, but not much. You can change screen size, you can choose the voice and narration voice and things and how prominent you want them to be. And there's a lot of people who go on and on about the narration and saying that they switch it off and that, and I can see why, because the amount of times that it just goes on and on and on, and it's always the same stuff at the start of every time you go into an area. You get the same stuff, even if you've been there a million times before. For now, I'm going to just, start the game off, I suppose. As you can see, I've loaded up an early file, at least on this profile. I've kept an early file where I think this is pretty much right after the first 2 or 3 missions of the game, just in order to not spoil anything for anyone out there who wants to see it through or anything like that. The first thing you might notice is that you've actually got a mouse-like cursor with a right analog, and you can either use the left analog to choose things, or you can use that. And that's because in-game, when you right-click, when you click the R3 button in, so obviously the right stick clicking in, it opens treasure chests and that, so you can use that on the menu as well if you want to. Game options, you've got a lot more you can do once you're in the game, so you can choose your control type between if you want to use the D-pad to move or the analog to move. You can choose your cursor speed, you can just do a few things really, well, more than you could on the original option screen, obviously. Report your adventures as you save thing. You've then got choose allies, which you can go in here and you can get people as you go through the game, like computers, and they can join your party. And I personally don't like that, and I'll get onto that in a little bit. As you might have noticed, it's saying press start. I'm currently on my own, but you can play up to 4 players at the same time, which is quite cool. And the character designs are something that I'm going to have to mention, and to be fair, to the point that I think I'm actually going to have to load up the sorceress here, who was my brother's earlier character, and quite frankly, as soon as he chose her, he was just like, okay, I'm wishing I chose someone else, because it's there's an old adage about certain kids who weren't breastfeeded and how they grew up with a fascination of something. And if I'm honest, I think the guy who does the art for this game is one of those, because you might have already spotted exactly what I'm on about, and if you haven't by now, then be amazed, quite frankly. The sorceress is by far the worst to go through this artwork, I suppose. There is another female character, I can't remember the name now, it might be the barbarian, who's certainly got large, attributes, is probably the most PC way to put this. The character that I'm playing as, who is also a female character, is actually the only one on the game who is not treated like a piece of meat. She is the elf, and basically it's, very similar to the elf on Gauntlet, the same style design and that, and it's why I chose to play as the elf at the start, because I thought, I like Gauntlet and I like that sort of gameplay, so that's exactly what I did. Art-wise, apart from the obvious things, which I'll be honest, the entire time you're going through the game, they crop up a lot. I mean, there's even enemies that have rather large attributes too. And it's a bit of a shame because it's certainly the sort of thing that I'd have much rather had a more mature art style and mature personality around the game, because I think it would have been a lot more enjoyable. It's just one of those things that it doesn't so much detract from it or anything, but it certainly is a little bit odd, especially when you're playing with certain people, and it's just like a case of, well, do you like this sort of thing? And then that just gets into a load of conversations that no one really wants to be talking about at all. So I think I chose right when I chose the elf, quite frankly, because every character has different abilities and things. I mean, some are better at hack and slash fighting, some are better at ranged fighting, some excel in magic, some excel in pure brute strength. When I was saying about how you can have 4 people in your team and that, well, that's what I was meaning about as well with the computer AIs that you can collect, because you can get just, it seems all of a sudden almost random at times, where you just get a character and then you've all of a sudden got an AI on your side, and they'll just join randomly, and even if you don't want them to. So the only way to actually deal with it is to completely delete the allies. I mean, this here, I've still got one, and I was absolutely positive that I'd deleted everyone that I'd unlocked, because now they have came into the game, and they're killing the enemies, they're getting the gold, they're getting the items, they're getting the XP, and they're a computer. I should be getting that EXP, I should be getting that gold, I should be getting the items, and when we're on co-op, then we should be doing it, not the computers. So it's why we really can't stand how there doesn't seem to be any choice at all. I mean, even there, you saw when I went into the thing, so that I can only assume with Panda's character, he hadn't actually deleted all of his, so it's, at the time, obviously, was annoying. Once we discovered how to delete them, then we now both do it all the time on our main files, and it's just something that some people might like, because maybe if you're playing the game single player you might be appreciative of having the hand, but if you're playing it multiplayer, then quite frankly I think I'd just rather have the challenge. I know that's the way I feel and my brother feels, and I'd much rather have all of the rewards going to us rather than going to a computer character. You might be thinking, what's going on with this guy? He's basically part of the story. He's your sidekick who goes around and opens things, whether it be locked doors or chests or things like that. He doesn't really get in the way. He doesn't steal any XP or gold from you. He's just there. Gameplay wise, you might have noticed by now, it's just a side-scrolling beat-em-up. I suppose that's the best way to put it. There are RPG elements to the game. I mean, you level up, you can unlock and find new weapons, and you can stat yourself silly, quite frankly, by reading this, that and the other about all the stats and comparing them. And it has got a decent RPG system, but if I'm honest, a lot of it feels like it's almost been tacked on, because it's almost as if they thought, well, if we don't do that, then people will just call us a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and they'll say that it's not that good and it's not as good as Streets of Rage and things like that. So we'll try and be different. And if I'm honest, that's actually worked against them in my mind. And I know from my brother as well, we both said that we would have preferred it to just be a Streets of Rage style game, because in adding everything that they've added, it takes away from it, especially the story. We personally can't stand the story, and it goes on for so long. I mean, the amount of times that you just go in and you're into a cutscene, and you're just skipping text after text at some point if you're not enjoying the story. And that's why as well I can see why people turn the narration off, and we just, if I'm honest, we didn't get around to turning it off, mainly because we didn't listen to it anyway. We'd just talk through the levels to each other, so it didn't matter that the narration was on. It's not at all something that's engrossing in its story or anything like that. You play it for the gameplay, and as a side-scrolling beat-em-up, it is actually pretty good. The RPG system, as I say, does work well in places. It does. I mean, it's a decent RPG system. It's something, though, that I definitely appreciate a lot more, because I at least play RPGs, whereas my brother only plays Borderlands, because he's just not into the genre. So the way through it was, I mean, like, I'm constantly, well, you're going to want to do that, you're going to want to do this, and then it just meant that the game was taking longer in sections rather than us just playing it, because I was basically talking him through, well, that means that means that, you want that if you want that, and it got to one of those situations where we both turned around very very early on and said it, that we would rather just have a Streets of Rage style game. There's no need for any of the other stuff. So that's pretty much all I could really say about the game in general. It's a good game overall. If you can get it cheap, it's certainly worth it. It wasn't worth paying full price, I'll be honest. We both regret buying it as soon as it came out. It's something that, again, I think I would enjoy more on the Vita, mainly because in that way I could just play it by myself, and it's nothing at all against him in the way he plays games or anything. It's just that obviously he's not into RPGs and I am, so I can at least play it and have fun with that aspect of it, whereas instead playing with him, it's not that fun on that aspect, and honestly it's given us both a headache before, as I've tried to talk him through things, and he got a hell of a lot better after a couple hours into the game, and he started to get better and progress. But it is something that after playing it, he's not went out and decided to buy Persona or something like that, you know. He's just thought, well, it's still not my genre, I'll just leave it be. And this is one of the enemies I was actually on about as well, so at least I've been able to show it off, how despite being mainly bird, I'd say. It's a little hard to see a part bird, part woman, because it's probably 90% bird, but then it's also the torso and head of a woman, and again, there's just no need for that at all on the enemies, and I really would say that the lead art director certainly grew up deprived of things, almost. It's just one of those things. It is the sort of game that looks like it's been designed by the art of, I don't even know the right word, and I wouldn't even want to say any words without causing severe offence to certain people, so I think I'm just going to leave it there. So other than art and graphics and that which I mentioned, musically it works well. There's parts where you don't really get any music, just like a little bit of background music. There's some music here while we're fighting, so seeing as I'm up to a boss fight, I'll just shut up and end the vid with a little bit of music, I think.
There seem to be more nests similar to this one spread throughout the area. You exit the area, taking care to avoid drawing the attention of any other harpies.
So there we go then. That's been the review. I hope you found it helpful. I don't score the games because that's based purely on opinion, so instead I'll leave you to make your own mind up. So thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about the game that I didn't answer in the vid or that hasn't been answered in the comments, then feel free to ask and I'll help if I can. Also, if you did find it helpful, don't forget to check out my channel because there's plenty more like this up there, and don't forget to subscribe because there'll be plenty more to come as well. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.